we had a news conference, and they asked me the exact same question. I said, I disavow. Now, right after the program that we're talking about, and I thought it was clear, but, we're talking about groups. I do have to know the name of the group, because who knows? I mean, they have to give me the name of the group. But right after, when I reviewed it, I put out a tweet and I put out on Facebook that I totally disavow. Now, everybody knew I did that, but the press refused to look at that. It was right after. And I disavowed then. I disavowed today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. I disavowed again. I mean, how many times are you supposed to disavow? But I disavow, and hopefully it's the final time I have to do it. But if you look at Facebook and if you look at Twitter, right after the show, I put out a statement because I want everybody to be sure.
Thank you, and welcome to Disavowed. I am your always humble and gracious host, Bebo the Great. Today, again, I have with me Shane Trejo of Big League Politics. How you doing, man?
Hanging in there, man. I'm still alive. I'm not arrested by Dana Nessel yet, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was gonna get into it with you. Obviously, you released a article or a news story about leaks in the Detroit area ballot counting, let's say, and you got the attention of the Attorney General, or who, as I like to call her, the gay Gestapo here in Michigan. Dana Nessel, I seen she sent you a cease and assist letter. Is that correct?
Okay, so here's exactly what happened: is that the Detroit leaks video, or audio, I should say, was released before the election, and it had a substantial impact. It didn't go super viral, but it made a pretty big impact, among conservatives, and it was, used in lawsuits and had an impact on, how the Secretary of State issued their directive with regards to poll challengers. They had to explicitly enumerate that the poll challengers, couldn't be disenfranchised by COVID rules, which is what they were trying to do explicitly. Now, of course, on the floor of Election Day, they didn't really care. They used to use COVID whenever they could to disenfranchise poll challengers anyway, but they had to change their directive to make it so that poll challengers did have the right to be within 6 feet of, poll workers, if it meant that. So anyway, yes. So we had that court victory on the day of when they had a court case over it, and the Attorney General had to quit, had to give up and capitulate. They sent a cease and desist letter to my publisher that inferred that my reporting on the Detroit leaks scandal was some sort of a crime. I was guilty of electoral manipulation for circulating this news. Now, the Detroit leaks themselves, it had the most telling thing about what they were trying to do was there was the poll worker trainer, and she was like, oh yeah, you can't stand 6 feet. You got your 6 feet, and you can't. They won't even be able to see with binoculars. Ha 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 ha. They all had a big laugh at how they were going to steal the election, and then of course that's exactly what they did on Election Day. So after Election Day, Detroit leaks went super duper viral. It on YouTube, some random YouTube channel would upload it, would get close to 1 million views. It'd get taken down. Some other YouTube channel would put it up, and the same thing would happen. So on Rumble, someone just randomly uploaded it on Rumble, has over 500,000 views. I uploaded it on BitChute, over 100,000 views on BitChute, and it's been posted a bunch of times on BitChute. So this thing has been viewed by over 1 million people, and it's been viewed just on like kind of in a guerrilla manner. Random people will just be posting it in Twitter comments. Random people will just put it up and keep putting it up. And as it gets censored, I didn't even have to promote it. It just kept going and going and going. And people have a hunger for this information. And really, I think Detroit leaks is one of the, seminal things that shows that no matter what happens, with the tools that we have at our disposal, we're going to be able to keep the truth alive no matter what. Even if they shut us off of social media completely, we're going to be able to keep the truth alive, and they can't stop us.
Yeah, I agree. I actually looked it up. It's still currently on. You can find it on YouTube even still right now, but it's not. It don't have many views, but you can still definitely find it if you're looking for it. If you'd like, I could play it, or I can just put a link into it.
Oh yeah, just put a link into it. There's also the Detroit Leaks Part 2 that goes into exactly how the court case was successful, but then they just failed to let anyone know about it. They failed to actually enforce their own rules and directives, because while the rigging was going on in Detroit on election night, what they would commonly tell the confused poll challengers, the hapless poll challengers who were just trying to do their jobs, just trying to observe the ballots, just trying to root out fraud, is that they would bully them with the COVID rules. They had some sort of masked Gestapo patrolling around the TCF Center. And if you had your mask not on according to the proper protocol from the CDC, you would be hauled out. You would be dragged out of the facility and have your rights essentially destroyed. So this was what they did. The DHHS goon came into TCF and put some arbitrary number on, we can only have X amount of people on the floor of this warehouse, this open air facility, not closed in at all, could fit thousands and thousands of people, but we can only have a couple hundred because of our COVID regulations. So it really ties it all together how this COVID scamdemic was used to make the mail-in ballot chaos, so that they were able to do a third world style vote steal and rape our country on election day.
Yeah, and if you look at, there's plenty of people that forewarned of this, saying that there was mail-in ballot fraud in other countries. That's why a lot of the other countries around the world don't do mail-in ballots, because of the fraud issue attached with it, right? And then what I found interesting in the video too is where she talks about, like, if a ballot is contested and the difference in how they handle it in 2020 than the years prior, where they wouldn't run it through the machine before, and now where they run it through the machine in 2020, even if it's a contested or I forget what word they use, but they're basically counting a ballot that is contested prior to me checking on it.
Yeah, and there's like something they did where on like they'd run the ballots through the tabulator even if they were challenged, and they would put a little sticky note on them though, and then that sticky note would they could go in later and find the sticky note of all the ballots that were fraudulent or whatever. And it's like, well, if they're already counted, so they got to go back in on a potential of a recount, and what if the sticky tape came off? We can't find the ballots. And now in New York, I saw a report the other day. It's taking them weeks and weeks and weeks to count these votes, weeks and weeks and weeks to do the final tallies of these congressional races. And that's one of the issues, is that the challenge ballots, the problematic ballots with the little tape on them, the tape came off. We can't track them. We don't know what ballots were bad and what ballots were good. So they did this on purpose. They knew what they were doing. This wasn't just mere incompetence. This was a deliberate attempt to take over the electoral process, because even with all of his faults, even with all the mistakes that President Trump did throughout his 4 years, he was going to kick ass in this election. He like this dude, he turns it on, and when his back's against the wall, he was doing the 5 rallies a day. He beat COVID. He conquered the China virus. He was dancing to the YMCA everywhere he went. I think his campaigning worked. I think from everything I heard in Michigan, the rural precincts were just lines out the back door of all Trump supporters, that he was really able to turn them out again. But, now you look at the actual totals and it's like, oh, Trump didn't really have that much of an advantage in the rural counties. Well, I would suspect that, like it was in Antrim County, where, the county went to Biden completely until they it was a big fraud. It was a glitch. It was a glitch software. Well, no, that's not a glitch. That's how Dominion does it. That's how they've done it in Venezuela and other countries where they've committed fraud. And even before the election, and again, I denigrate Republicans for dropping the ball on this. I think they're in on it too, obviously, but they dropped the ball on this. But it was actually Democrats who sent a letter to the Senate Elections Committee or whatever. Democrats like Ron Wyden and Elizabeth Warren sent a letter about how Dominion was, so fraudulent, how it's incomprehensible that they would ever be used in our elections, how they're being brought in, and it's a total disgrace. And how could we possibly ever do this considering their record? Now, of course, all those Democrats are silent because they sold their soul and they're in on the rape of this nation too.
Right. And that's what I was trying to tell people. People's like, oh, we're going to have a recount. We're going to do a hand recount. I'm like, if you're just recounting fraudulent ballots, what does that matter? The ballots are still in there. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you just recount them, that's not going to do nothing. You're going to literally have to go through and check everyone's vote, make sure they're not fraudulent. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they need to go through all the ballots with a fine-tooth comb. And again, I'm no expert of the process. An audit, I think, would be the right term for what we need, or whatever needs to be done. These ballots need to be either inspected, or I would just prefer, and I don't know if judges will do this because, so many judges are either compromised, blackmailed, terrified that, some Antifa or Black Lives Matter thug will throw a Molotov cocktail through their home if they do the right thing. There's all these different pressures going on to stop people from doing what's right and overturning this vote steal right now. But, a judge should just say, hopefully the Supreme Court does it, but a judge should just say, okay, well, all these ballots are getting thrown out because they broke the law at every step of the way. So every ballot gets thrown out. And, that's so racist because these inner cities and the demographics and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's where all the fraud happens. That's where everyone knows all the fraud happens. And that's why, and I had an interview with VDare at the Million MAGA March, and they interviewed me about the fraud and the Detroit leaks. And I told them that, everyone knows that there's tons of vote fraud in these inner cities, but Republicans, such cowards that they are, they will not go after the vote fraud because they're scared that they'll be called racist for doing so.
Well, that's a good lead into the local issue here with the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, right? What ended up happening here is the two refused to certify, the two Republican members refused to certify. Then everyone jumped on the Zoom meetings, started calling them racist, and basically threatened. I don't know if it's a threat, a passive aggressive threat, I guess, of mentioning where their children go to school and stuff. Then after a couple hours of that, they flop back and they're like, okay, we'll vote to certify, right? And then after that, a day after that, then they basically wrote a note that was a certified note or something saying that they were threatened and that they want to see. I think their mistake. They should have stood firm from the get.
Yeah, they should have. They were on when I saw that they flipped their vote, I was apoplectic because they were on the floor with me. They watched the fraud happen. They watched it happen. They watched the tens of thousands of mystery ballots come in at the dead of night to disenfranchise all the poll challengers, try to pull one over on us. And then when the ballots were being processed the next day, they instituted the Gestapo-style regime against poll challengers and literally covered it up. And that's not what was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen, usually on election night, there's 2 or 3 shifts, and everything ends by, it goes late in the night, but everything usually ends by 5:30. So what they did was they held the ballots, and presumably tampered with them. I mean, they didn't, no one knows what happened to those ballots in between 8 p.m. when they had to be submitted and 3:30 a.m. when they showed up at the TCF Center, the dead of night. 3 dudes just come in, bringing them in, no chain of custody, no accountability, no transparency. And then I think they expected that we would be prepared for the regular shifts, and then we might drop the ball after that, and there might not be anyone there. But there are people like Patrick Kolbeck and many others. I mean, they did like 36 straight hours of just being there and documenting this and making sure people came. So me and Kolbeck and many others sent out the SOS to the grassroots, and they came. They came in record numbers, and that is why they had to board the place up. They literally are caught on videotape covering it up. It's fraud. It's fraud. It's a scam. It's the biggest crime in U.S. history. And thank God for these Pennsylvania hearings today, because that's a big white pill. That's what we needed to hear, because a lot of powerful testimony was shared there from a lot of credible witnesses who have put their freedom on the line. If they're lying, they can go to prison because they've signed sworn affidavits. Sworn affidavits are evidence, and people who deny that are in on the vote steal. They're guilty. They're guilty. They're complicit, and we should keep a list of their names.
Well, see, that's the thing with the left, though. They'll go down for the ship, you know. They'll toe they don't care, you know, as long as they get, you know, the ends justifies the means with the left, right? You know, and you know, like you said, if everything's on the up and up, why did they have to resort to threatening these canvassers? Why did they have to put up the boards? The TCF Center is basically old Kobo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all windows, right? It's all you can see in there clear as day. If you're not trying to hide anything, why are you boarding up windows? Why is that even socially acceptable during an election to put like drywall? It looked like, I don't know what they used.
Well, here's what they're saying is that the evil militia Proud Boy Trump terrorists were causing a scene. So the heroic, democratic, diverse people of Detroit, you know, Black Lives Matter, they kept those evil Trump people from, you know, being able to do their evil militia Proud Boy terror thing. That's what people believe. That's what they fucking believe, man. These fucking people don't have souls.
Like what did they think was gonna happen? They're inside the building, you know.
Yeah, it's insane. But I mean, that's what you'll hear from people is that, you know, they set this in, you know, they set this stuff up in advance. They put it out there in the media so that they, you know, program these soulless monsters, you know, who unfortunately we have to co-occupy a country with these narratives that are completely false, that are total nonsense. So that when they steal an election and rape a nation, the morons, the zombies out there will default to these phony fake narratives and use it to excuse any sort of corruption. And then when the evidence comes out, they're already, you know, it's already, you know, now that the evidence is just starting to come out about the fraud. And what have they done? You know, Mr. President-elect Biden's already been coronated. They've already pressured, you know, basically every politician into kissing Biden's rings. So now, no matter what happens, no matter what evidence is produced, you've got a situation where there's going to be tens of millions of people who, you know, they have nothing, NPCs, have nothing going on upstairs, probably never had a worthwhile independent thought in their pathetic lives. They're going to be on the streets. They're going to be burning shit down. They're going to be laying waste to the nation. This is best case scenario, by the way. If they overturn this is best case scenario. You're going to have these people laying waste to the nation, and you'll have the media saying that they're, you know, mostly it's a mostly peaceful insurrection, is what they'll say.
Right. See, you know, like I honestly don't know if I don't believe it's going to be overturned, because I see like what happened in Wayne County. I see what happened in Wayne County with the weakness of the canvassers, and you know, it's like when you're in a fight. I don't know. There's that one quote where you see Tyson talking about when he's preparing for a fight, and he's like, when I get in the ring, I just look at him. I just look at him the whole time, and I never take my eye off him. He's walking back and forth. I'm going back and forth with him. You know what I'm saying? And then he's looking at me. But then there's that 1 second where he looks away. and I know I have them. I got them, you know, and that's what I feel like the Wayne County canvassers did here in Michigan. I think once I seen them switch their vote, I was like, it's done in Michigan, right? You know? So
well, the good news though is that you know, even if, you know, I think the states where it's most likely to be overturned are like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, you know, maybe you know, Georgia, of course, and then maybe, you know, Arizona or Nevada. I think those are probably the states that are most likely to get overturned, because you know, I think they're the it's a narrower margin there or whatever. Wisconsin, it sounds like they easily have the, you know, they could throw out enough ballots to give Trump, you know, just to overturn the steal and make sure that Trump is, you know, remains president as the people decided. But, you know, again, it's just going to be, even best case scenario, there's going to be a backlash of biblical proportions. It wouldn't surprise me for them to orchestrate a military stand down, or for them to literally bring in foreign UN goons, literally the Alex Jones scenario where
the blue hats,
the blue hats come over and take over, because if Trump is, you know, if the vote steal is overturned, you know, they're gonna do a straight up regime change operation against him. They're gonna, you know, this is already a coup. This will become a bloody coup. Right. They will not let Trump have his second term, no matter what. No matter if they, you know, have to burn the entire country down, no matter how many people have to die, they're not letting this happen, because, you know, they want, you know, we're meant to be a Chinese vassal state. We're gonna, you know, they're gonna make us submit to Big Brother. They're gonna rip up the Constitution and Bill of Rights completely. That is the plan, and the only way we win is if we're willing to sacrifice everything to defeat this scum.
Yeah, I don't know how these fucking morons in this country don't see this. These fucking people, I'm sorry, our fellow citizens are fucking dumb as fuck. Like, I'm not no fucking rocket scientist here, right? I'm just a common fucking man, right? I'm not over here sitting here telling you I got a 150, 160 IQ or no shit. I'm not fucking anybody special. But anyone that don't see what the fuck is going on here, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? Dude, these fucking people, and what I fucking love is my own like, I come from a Democrat background. My family's hardcore Democrat. I'm just about the only fucking Republican in the family, right? And these stupid motherfuckers don't even get it. And a lot of my friends and family are also fucking restaurant workers, right? Look what the fuck is happening to the restaurant industry. You know? And
yeah, I mean, it's done.
And these fucking idiots are voting Democrat, right? Then they're coming up to me complaining about the shit. Like, I can't, but see, they blame Trump. They blame fucking Trump, right? And I told my wife, I said, I should find out where all my fucking Democrat families having Thanksgiving this year and turn them all in. I'm gonna call and turn them in. They're not social distancing. They got more than fucking 2 households at the fucking Thanksgiving dinner. You know?
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff. I mean, like, everything that's happened from the, you know, COVID lockdowns, which is just, you know, probably the most grotesque violations of our civil liberties in history, to the Black Lives Matter riots. Well, we should call them pogroms, because that's a better word to call them, because they're explicitly anti-white and anti-Western and anti-constitutional. So explicitly a terror movement to destroy our nation and replace it with, you know, some sort of, you know, race-based, you know, mob communism or whatever. So we saw that. We probably never could have thought of that. And then we've seen the vote steal, where it's just a mountain of evidence pointing to improprieties. And pretty much everyone in our society, at least everyone with a position of power, folds immediately. Doesn't want one question to be asked. Doesn't want one real investigation. So now, I mean, this is the type of stuff. Like I told, I was on One America News. This is worse than just our country slipping into being a third world banana republic. This is the Orwellian nightmare manifesting itself. And I feel like in 6 months or so, it could be all over. I mean, they could unleash a new bioweapon. They could come up with some sort of attack that puts us in a situation where we have no alternative but to submit to tyranny. So, I think we're one step away from the full blown, as Aldous Huxley called it, author of Brave New World, the final revolution against mankind, where mankind slips into darkness forever.
Yeah, I catch a lot of shit because I tell people back when they banned smoking in public places, right? Bowling alleys and bars and shit like that. I tried telling everyone back then, this is the fucking beginning of the end, you fucking idiots. What are you, if they can tell you you can't smoke while you're bowling, what's the next step? And I got laughed at. That was many years ago, right? That was many years ago. Oh,
that was 2009. Yeah, I remember I was getting into arguments with people, and I'm like, I have terrible asthma, so it's like that helped me. I enjoyed that law, but you could just see that, how is this the American dream? Like, this should be a private property owner's right to say, if you don't want smoking in your facility, fine, then you're going to get clientele, like me, who can't handle the smoke. But if you want to have a bunch of smokers at your bar smoking and drinking, well, that should be your right as an American. But, everyone acquiesced to it, and just like they acquiesced to everything. And, now here we are, in a hellscape that we couldn't have even fathomed a year ago. So just think about if Biden wins, where we'll be in a year from now. It's not a fun thought.
Well, you're going to demoralize the whole right if Biden pulls this deal off. No one's going to want to be politically involved at all. Like, we're going to be like, the shit is rigged, right? And then, the people on the far right, we're fucked because, like, at one time we could look at the fucking Libertarian Party and be like, hey, maybe we'll vote Libertarian, right? Now you look at them; they're just as bad of a joke as the Democratic Party.
Basically, we'll all be forced. Basically, we'll all be forced into being R.L. Bain before long.
Right. That's right.
We're gonna be all on the Bain train the whole time. The way it's going.
But it's people like Bain with his beliefs that has drove us into this ditch, because the Libertarians supporting what they got over 1 million votes this year. That could have helped us. I don't know if he would have even pulled it out still,
I've actually, from what I've seen, Bain's a Constitution Party guy. He's not like into all that weird leftist stuff, but but Libertarians, from what I've seen, is that they actually took votes away from Biden primarily. That, like, people who hated Trump but were a little more right-wing, but, didn't like Biden because of all of his, 40 years of, Patriot Act, Iraq War, that type of stuff. Those are the type of people who went to Joe Jorgensen. So the people who are blaming the Libertarians this time around, I mean, there have been races where Libertarians screwed over a good Republican candidate and gave it to the Democrats. So when that happens, yes, criticize the Losertarians. But in this case, this is a vote steal, and the Libertarians probably took more votes away from Biden. So the people who are blaming Libertarians this time around, I think that this is a good time. I know a lot of Libertarians who didn't vote for Trump, or just voted for Trump while holding their nose, and they're looking at this vote steal like, oh my God, this is insane, this is a nightmare. So I think those are people who we can kind of bring in and say, hey, look what's going on here. We have to fight back against this. Two-way. Libertarians are generally very pro two-way as well. So yeah, I don't think this is the time to bash the Libertarian Party, because they probably took more votes away from Biden, in all honesty.
Let's see how they enjoy a one-party system if it goes down to that. Yeah, you think that they're going to be nice to the Libertarians? Give me a break.
No chance in hell. No chance in hell.
This is basically a packing of the ballots, and people act like there's no evidence of this before. You go back to Kennedy when he ran. There was rumors of them using the mafia to pack the ballots. It's not. This is just a different form of it, a modern day version of it, right?
This is a sophisticated version of stuff in the ballot box. And it's a million times worse than anything happened in the past, because conceivably, if there's like one state and one city, potentially, even people said that, Bush cheated to win Florida or whatever. But, I'm not sure if that was the case. I'm not even sure if, Kennedy cheated in Illinois, but this is, that's the lore. But, it's conceivable that one city in one state where it's a really close election there could be some fraud. But this is fraud on just a unforeseen scale. So ghastly. So many people are in on it that it's probably the worst crime in electoral history. This is probably the worst thing that's ever happened. So the fact that, and I'll go on a little rant here about our Republican leaders. The Republican leaders in Lansing want to sweep this under the rug. Lee Chatfield, the asswipe who certified the vote, the guy who voted to certify it with the Democrats, his name is like Aaron Van Langerfeld or Aaron Van Douchebag, I'll call him. So Aaron Van Douchebag.
And then one was stood. He didn't vote at all.
One coward
abstained
like a little pussy. Yeah. Couldn't even vote no. What a bitch. But the other guy's even worse. Aaron Van Douchebag. He is actually the counsel for Lee Chatfield and the House Republicans. He's like, he might not be their top lawyer, but he's one of their top lawyers. So he was taking directives from Lee Chatfield and from the House leader and Senate leadership. So from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, Republican leaders don't even want to have a investigation. They don't even want to have a hearing similar to the one that happened in Pennsylvania today, which was great because every, whistleblower, every credible individual who witnessed fraud was able to explain in depth how the election was stolen in Pennsylvania. We could do that in Michigan on Monday or on Friday. I know all the whistleblowers would drop everything. I mean, I've dropped everything to go to all these protests, even while I'm extremely swamped, extremely busy. I'm going to everything that I can possibly get to just because it's so urgent. So they could have it on Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and I guarantee you there would be dozens of credible whistleblowers there explaining exactly how the fraud happened. But Lee Chatfield doesn't want that. Lee Chatfield has said, and Mike Shirkey has said repeatedly, that they anticipate that Biden's going to be the president and they're going to sign off on the fraudulent vote results. And they have not acknowledged any of the sworn affidavit testimony from people like me, people like Senator Colbeck, and dozens of others who actually were on the front lines to defend our republic, defend our Constitution. So people like Chatfield and Shirkey are pissing in the faces of their constituents, of the heroes of the conservative movement who are willing to stand and fight for their country. And so I consider Shirkey and Chatfield and Van Douchebag traitors, Benedict Arnolds, and, hopefully they'll be remembered as some of the worst people ever to call themselves Americans.
Right. Shirkey, I see just as a yes man, right? He's later in his political career.
Yeah, a dumbass yes man. That's how I would describe that stupid bastard.
Either is looking at his political future. Right?
Yeah, Chatfield.
He's young.
Yeah.
He either wants to be. I think he's trying for governor. Right, is what I think he's eventually gonna shoot for. Right.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it.
So like I can see why Chatfield's doing it because I mean Michigan is still we're still a flip state. We're mostly blue, but in governor elections, right? And most of the time, right? It's very hard. I would say it's more difficult for a Republican to win the governorship in Michigan than a Democrat.
Well, I think the best thing that could probably happen in 2022 is that, one of these Rhino Republicans is the nominee, whether it's, Chatfield, Shirkey, Calley, or whoever. One of these rhinos is the nominee, and they just get throttled. They get destroyed by 20 points.
That'd be great. That's what we need. The far right guys always get destroyed in the party, or they get labeled extremists and sent out to pasture. I was a big Ajima guy, right? And and he never.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I liked Ajima, his balls, and his positions on gay rights. I thought that when I was a libertarian in the party, I thought like, oh my gosh, he's so extreme. But now with Drag Queen Story Hour and stuff, I'm totally I would probably consider myself an Ajima Republican these days.
Well, here's the thing, man. You elect someone further to the right, and that person further to the right is not going to get everything he wants anyway, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, let's look forward to Biden now. What do you think happens in a Biden administration, right? If he becomes president?
Well, they're going to just do the usual neoliberal shit. So they're going to, they're going to overthrow the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and install local terror groups. They're going to, bend over for China. Even the national security advisor says that we must, literally the national security advisor for Biden says that we must promote China's rise in the world. So they're going to just suck off China. They're going to undo all of the, regulatory reform, tax reform, trade reform that Trump did. They're going to rip that up, and we're going to go back to being, a developing vassal state for our Chinese masters. That's what's going to happen. But it's mostly going to be, corporate neoliberal bullshit. I know a lot of the Trump people have said that, this is going to be the most socialist administration in history. It's going to be so socialist. Yeah, I think that's nonsense. I think they're just going to go back to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama style neoliberalism, where they're just going to grease over all the corporations and grease over all the institutional power while doing everything they can to erode the culture and pave the way in the future for the takeover, the replacement of Americans who actually work to make this country great. They're out. They're going to be replaced with Somalian migrants and LGBT activists and transgenders who want to have little children sit on their laps at libraries and tell them about how, you can be gay, you can be a woman, you can be a man, you can be anything you want. That's the future of America.
Except for a conservative.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the future of America. And Biden, I see Biden doing, your typical corporate neoliberal BS, but he'll throw the left, some bones. They'll do they'll do things like revoke nonprofit status for pro-Christian groups. They'll do stuff like that. There'll be crackdowns. There'll be right-wingers who have charges thrown at them. The Proud Boys, specious charges. That the IRS targeting of Tea Party groups, that'll happen on steroids in the Biden administration. So they'll do corporate neoliberalism, but they'll throw white conservatives under the bus, just to placate their radical base of people who are vehemently racist against white people.
Have you seen Cory Booker came out with a bill with a couple other senators, and he proposed basically giving a bunch of land to African Americans to begin farms. And then the LGBT, one of their lobbies, came out and requested that they revoke basically charter schools for Christian charter schools.
Okay, well, hey, it's only fair.
Right. So that's directly in line with what basically you're saying, and see, but I think Trump also hurt himself with the platinum plan. I truly do. Let me opine on that. I did I actually, volunteered in the Trump office in Walled Lake. And you would have black people come in and be like, oh, what's going on with this platinum plan and stuff like that. So I think that President Trump's outreach to minorities was successful, actually. And I think that
there was a part, that what should have been a part of the campaign, but it shouldn't have been the focal point like it was. In particular, the pandering to black people, it ended up being that Hispanics came out for Trump in numbers that were shocking. It's because Hispanics don't like the idea of, marauding gangs of thugs burning their cities to the ground. So once they started seeing Democrat mobs of, BLM, Antifa terrorists burning cities to the ground, and then the media elite saying it's a mostly peaceful protest or whatever, once Hispanics started seeing that, they're like, okay, I think I'm going to vote for Trump. So really, I think Trump, should have focused on his white working class base and, delivering for them first and foremost, while doing, he could have submitted the platinum plan, done stuff like that on the periphery, and it would have helped in similar, maybe not as much of the numbers, but it would have been it would have definitely been a boon for the GOP in opening the base up and making it to a big tent, which Trump has done. Really, Trump's made the tent bigger than any of these Republican Heritage Foundation, Cato Institute, American Enterprise Institute, corporate goons ever could, because he just rejected all of their nonsense. He said, fuck that. I'm just going to be a strong leader and go be pro-America as possible. And that's what ended up bringing in the minorities who don't like this anti-American, anti-white, anti-capitalist bullshit that's coming from the left. So Trump was successful in appealing to minorities. I don't want to denigrate the efforts there. It's just that I think that he should have focused on his base. And that's what Steve Bannon had said. That's what Steve Bannon had said before he got the boot from the administration, was that he wanted Trump to just work through his base 100%, that focus on the base. And then as we dominate more and more people will come on board. I think that was the right strategy. So Trump made a lot of mistakes. But I think that, one of the triumphs was that he has brought a lot of minorities on board. A lot of minorities are, starting to really see that, what the Democrats are offering is a bunch of bullshit. And I think they like MAGA to a certain extent. So I don't want to bash him too much for that. But at the same time, he did neglect his working class base.
I'm a huge Bannon guy, right? I love Bannon, right? And I'm all for bringing everyone on board, but you'll bring people on board just through winning. If you continue to win, okay, by selling out your principles, right? We've opened up to the LGBT community, right? We got tons of pagans now in the right-wing movement. I'm serious. Everywhere I turn, there's these pagans and atheists. There's Satanists, right? And these are people that are growing in our party now, right? Right? Would you agree? I don't know if you ever heard of a guy called Jeffrey Doherty, right? He's a YouTuber. He's on late nights, right? And he calls himself the Christian something, and he's like he's anti-Christ. But he's big Trump pusher. You get what I'm saying?
Remember, you know about Sticks and Hammers 666?
Yes, dude, same thing.
That guy. Look, I don't even mind his takes. I think he's generally has some good takes, but just that if your name is 666 guy, I mean, fuck that. I'm not gonna watch your shit.
Well, see, that's my thing. Okay, I don't mind having them joining us, right? But allowing them to become the grassroots of our movement is wrong. It's the wrong strategy. We're gonna fuck ourselves. And then what he also did is I think he thought that the allowing the riots would benefit him, right?
Yeah, that was a big mistake. I thought. I don't think again, like all these mistakes. I don't think they cost him the election, because I think they cost him a total in the election that would have been impossible for them to be able to cheat it.
Right?
He came close.
Okay, but I still supported the president, but I had tons of complaints about what he did, right? But I really regret having a president that's sitting back watching our cities burn and being looted and doing nothing, right? That ticks me off. And what ticks me off is there's so many people inside our party, and they're like, oh, what's he supposed to do? You gotta go through the governors. The governors have to ask for help. This is such bullshit, right? And
what he should have done is almost immediately was, at the very least, send the troops in, and then make the governors reject the troops. Send the troops in saying, we're going to put this down, and just make and force the, whoever the asswipe who runs the
Oregon, Portland.
Minnesota. I think his name is Tim Wenz or Walls or some shit like that. Make little pussies like that make their big stand against sending in the troops to restore order, and then at that point, it would all be on them. It would all be on those Democrat officials. But Trump didn't do that. Trump basically, he basically said, "Oh, what happened to George Floyd was so wrong," and all this fucking garbage. Jared Kushner social justice bullshit. And then, of course, it turns out George Floyd wasn't a saint after all. It turns out he was a violent serial felon who was a crackhead, and he was on fentanyl. And literally when they released the video from the police, cameras, which was, of course, withheld from the public so that they could, do their lie and unleash the, anti-white pogroms across the country. But once the actual video was released from the police cameras, it showed that, George Floyd was incredibly belligerent. This guy's like 300 pounds, 6'6". This guy's very dangerous.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
A dangerous crackhead. Completely can't. He's so high on drugs he can't even really respond to anything. This is a very dangerous, violent man. And he was saying, "I can't breathe," when he was sitting down in a cop car. So that's just what they say. That's what these crackheads say because they think the cops will let them off. They say, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." It's all bullshit.
Yeah. See, I'm a decriminalized guy anyway. Like, I think the drug war is a fucking failure, honestly, right? But like, I would have loved it if imagine this, if he would have sent them troops in and cracked all them motherfucking rioters and looters' heads. That would have fired up the base like a motherfucker. And everyone else in the party would have been scared to speak up because we would have been so fired up. And let me tell you, they wouldn't have came out into the streets with more people to the left. Because you know how I know neither side really wants to go at it. Let's admit it. Both sides pussyfoot around. Okay, when there's a big rally in one side, you see small pockets of the resistance from the other side, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, like the Mega Million March. If the left really wanted to bring it, why didn't they bring a bunch of people too and get together? If both sides had a couple 100,000 people, how would you have stopped anything?
Well, here's the when I was at the Million MAGA March, like one of the first things that happened when I was there. There was like a gang of Proud Boys. There were so many Proud Boys there, by the way. It was unbelievable. I mean, like wow, I was shocked. But anyway, so Proud Boys were there, and like there's like a group of Antifas, and literally they circled the Antifas, and we literally repelled them out of the protest. We literally drove them out, and it was spectacular. It was inspirational. But
yeah, that's my point exactly. If the left had very sparse numbers at the Mega Million March. They didn't have no numbers. Washington's almost all Democrat, right? Right? It's like Washington, D.C. votes like 95% Democrat, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the best numbers they could produce. They don't want none. They don't really want to fight.
No, they want an unfair fight where they're the
10-on-1.
A 10-on-1 fight where if the guy who's the one fights back, is given all the charges while all the Antifas are let off by the Soros-funded prosecutor or DA or something like that. That is their, that's how they roll. I mean, that's what they're trained to do. That's what, they have an entire, plan to, avoid being caught, and they're funded by all these NGOs.
Well, see, that's just my point, though. People like me voted for Trump because I wanted him to remilitarize the police. I wanted him to crack them motherfuckers' heads. I wanted him to crack their fucking heads and put them in their place, and he didn't do it.
No, well, that's the thing is that, Trump, for everything that they say about him being a dictator or a fascist, Trump is just not even close. I mean, not even close to being.
I know. Put me in there.
But no, but like, it's like, Trump, it's obvious that Trump, he just is like, I think he knows that if by his rhetoric, by his, rhetorical flair, he can, bring people to his side and have success politically. And he tries to use his rhetoric to move people in ways that he can make deals and trade deals and bring more jobs to the country. That's his whole shtick. But, at the same time, look where we're at. We can't unify as a nation. We're not a unifiable nation.
Yeah, did you see Biden today's address to the country? You didn't see it?
God, no.
He said
attention to that shit.
He said he may appoint someone that was in the Trump cabinet to unite us.
Oh, General James Mattis, the tranny.
I know, right?
The tranny. He wants military personnel who had their balls and dicks snipped off for the good of our nation.
Well, our slogan will be China or America second to China.
Yeah, and I mean, Mattis came out and straight up said that we can't be America first. Policy.
That's the type of general I want.
we can't be America first. But again, it goes back to Trump. Why did you hire these asswipes? Why did you hire these dickheads? What are you thinking?
How'd that bring
John Bolton? John Bolton.
How'd bring
stupid?
How did bringing Karl Rove on board work out?
Yeah, Karl Rove was brought on as the as the strategy guy for the Trump campaign. Oh,
he was brought on, and then after the election, he was one of the first ones out there. Like he lost.
Yeah, first guy's thrown him under the bus, but he was brought on, and Pascal was made the campaign manager and just did the worst job imaginable. So yeah, a lot of this was done. A lot of this happened because of Trump's failures, but at the same time, we can't just because Trump is lacking as a leader doesn't mean we can overlook the votes of the century and the rape of our country, which these inner cities, so we gotta focus on that, not this black pill stuff. Like I'm hearing a lot of so-called Wignats, they're sort of reveling in the loss of Trump and seem to be people
like
for Biden.
The Spencer types and stuff. I get it. But he did throw them guys under the bus, though. So they're seeking revenge. That's only I expected it, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, like again, I understand why people would be pissed if Trump he threw the Proud Boys under the bus. That was not acceptable. But if you're going to have such a rally that turns into a disaster, it was not hard to see how Charlottesville was going to turn into a nightmare beforehand. It was pretty easy to telegraph. You saw many different signs of how this rally was going to be, turned into a nightmare. So, you did the nightmare rally and you gave the left everything that they wanted. So, now why would you expect everyone to coalesce around you after you did this giant fuck up?
I wouldn't say coalesced around him, but he backtracked. You know what I'm saying? Even from at first he stated there was good people on both sides, and then
very fine people.
Right. He just backtracked on it. here's my position on the first time voting for Trump. I was completely amped voting for him. Like I was behind him 110%.
Yeah.
Like this time I voted for him because I felt like there was no other option. Right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna that's gonna affect people. Now not everyone is as pragmatic as me, where I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go still pull the lever for him, right? Because I know it's what's best, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these people take the shit personal.
They sure do. And, I mean, people, you have to look at the big picture always. Trump has failed in many different ways, but, I don't think we'll ever do better as a leader, functionally. I think that, he's probably the best we'll ever do, sadly, with the way the demographics are going and how, with how Generation Z and the millennials are, view politics. Trump's probably the best we'll ever get. I also wanted to give a plug to Rebel Yell, Kentucky bourbon that I'm drinking tonight. This is fueling my belligerent rants, so I'm pouring myself up another one right now. But
all right, we're almost an hour in. You got anything else?
There's another story that I have. It has to do with Dominion vote rigging software in the state of Michigan. There's a lady. She's a mayor of Lathrop Village, which is a very small community.
Very well to do, though. Nice community.
Oh yeah, very well to do. Right next to Southfield, in Oakland County, Lathrop Village. The mayor of this county, her name is Michael Kelly Garrett. So Kelly Garrett, she was actually the voter protection czar, or whatever the position is called. She headed up voter protection for the Democrat Party. And she did this actually while she was the project lead for Dominion software. And while she was the Democrat elected official of vice chair for the county, Oakland County Party, so while she was a Democrat official, she brokered a $25 million deal in 2017 to bring Dominion into the state of Michigan. So This is the lady who brought Dominion into the state of Michigan. And not only is she just, some random chick, no, she has an entire family of cronies who have been involved in election impropriety in the past. One of her close relatives is actually the Wayne County clerk. And, in the past, she has, been involved in improprieties. She X'd out, tons of votes for Mike Dugan when he was running for mayor. She canceled these votes because the people who were writing in Dugan, they didn't put the Roman numerals. They put the numerals instead, so they would write 3 instead of the 3 lines. So she X'd out all their votes in order to give the election to the candidate, the Union Goon candidate, who was in bed with her union boss cousin by the name of Al Garrett, who was like the union boss hog scumbag in Detroit for like 30, 40 years. So
imagine that.
It goes so deep. And I filed a FOIA request demanding the records on this $25 million contract. And one of the interesting things about this giant contract is that it was increased by $800,000 for some mysterious purpose right before this year's election. And when I filed the FOIA request, they said, records cannot be found. We don't have the records for it. So this is a cover-up, and, probably the biggest scandal in, definitely the biggest scandal in U.S. history, maybe the biggest scandal in political history. So we have to keep fighting, and we, keep spreading the truth. Because like I said with the Detroit leaks, we had millions and millions of views, and the more they ban it, the more people want to see it. So there's a lot of people out there who know the truth. Tens of millions of people out there in America know the truth now, and that is huge. And we have to capitalize on that before it's too late.
Yeah, That's amazing to me. Lathrop Village, one of the wealthiest communities in Michigan, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oakland County, one of the wealthiest counties in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And she's a Democrat.
Oh, yeah. Diversity, baby.
Well, I thought the Democrats are for the working man, the poor. How's the mayor of Lathrop Village a Democrat?
Well, I mean, you know, that's coming to every city, you know, because they're gonna, you know, push diversity mandates.
Right.
We need to be more diverse, and you know, diversity is our strength.
Yeah.
And you know, then we get Detroit-style governance. So that
and the only party that is effective at diversity is the Democrats, of course.
well, I mean, they know. I mean, they know how to consolidate power. You know, they have, you know, their people are, you know, lockstep, gung ho. You know, if they're going to do a vote steal, then everyone's going to be on board for it. So that's why they're so effective, because they work so much better as a collective than Republicans who, you know, will make all these little excuses about why we.
Oh, dude, we attack each other. We attack each other all the time.
Infighting.
I get it. You know, I'm too extreme. I'm too extreme. Fuck your extreme. That's what I say. You know, you guys are too big of fucking pussies. That's what I say. You know, like, you know, how I don't know how people don't see they're on the offensive. They're bringing in immigrants. They move them to all the metropolitan cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cosmopolitan cities, right? They set them up with grants and housing, right? Give them businesses, right? Then they move the African Americans into the suburbs with Section 8 and HUD, right?
Equality.
So now
that's equality in this day and age.
Okay. But now they're gaining ground. Your suburbs are becoming blue, right? And more blue, right? While none of the Republicans are saying, hey guys, let's move back to Flint. Hey guys, let's move back to Detroit, right? So we're just being pushed out further. They're getting more control mechanisms over more government. All your federal dollars are funneled through the big cities. You know, you don't see these small cities getting huge federal grants for development projects, right? Or minority loans or whatever, right? All this money is ran through the port cities or the large cities, and then they're all large cities. So then they have the unions that control all the ports, right? That controls all your taxes, right, on your imports, right? What do we have? And then I argue with these idiots online all the time.
You know what we have? We have the My Pillow guy. That's what we have.
And the fucking dairy farmers. That's about it. But then I talk to these liberals online, and they always go, Democrat cities create the most GDP. GDP does not fucking create wealth. It's an illusion, right?
Well, here's the thing: if you build a bomb and you drop it on a bunch of random peasants in Pakistan, and it doesn't matter if it was for national security or anything, that raises GDP.
Yeah,
so GDP is a bullshit metric to judge the economy on. And one of the things that I really disagree with Trump, terrible moves he's done, is he looks at the stock market and says, oh, the stock market's at all-time highs. That shows I'm a great president. No, it just shows that there's more inflation, that there's more money going to the 1%. And Trump should have totally never talked about the stock market and just focused on
real jobs.
Yeah, real jobs. Which there were, his policies, trade policies, did bring jobs back. You should have focused solely on that, solely on demagoguing these corporations rather than celebrating their extreme wealth. Because now, what do you see? You see the most unequal economy of all time. You see every small business being destroyed, being ruined. And well, the Dow Jones is higher than ever. Well, yeah, because Amazon's taking over everything.
And now we're gonna sell out to China again. So we lost all our service jobs, and now we're gonna freaking start sending all the jobs back overseas again. We are so screwed. We have no idea what is about to happen to us. You know, and for people out there, if you understand GDP, these people don't understand GDP. GDP counts consumption, right? Consumption's counted in GDP, and government spending, right? I was actually arguing with this one guy, and he says all the cities produce all the GDP. And I was like, yeah, that's government spending and consumption. That's what the cities produce. I said to him, what major metropolitan city produces metal, right? Steel. What major city produces, lumber? What major cities produces food? They don't produce anything. It's all your rural areas that produce, just because they don't consume as much. And like I said, back to the thing, these rural small farm towns, they don't get, the government don't stop in like, hey guys, we're going to build a big tower here. We're going to drop you a couple billion. You know, that never happens. You know,
no, I mean, it's just, just the people who, you know, the I believe it's like that, like Koch brothers type of indoctrination and propaganda, where it's just all about, you know, GDP and, you know, bringing more immigrants across the border. Well, that helps the economy because our GDP goes up, and, you know, the corporate profits go up because they have cheaper labor, and that's what matters. And that's, you know, what GDP is all about. That's the understanding of the economy that's been pushed by Republicans. That's made people hate the Republican Party, made people reject them, made the Republican Party a completely empty vessel, a total disaster before Trump showed up. And now they're trying to tell us that, well, you know, if Trump's gone, the Republican Party's in such great shape because we have so much diversity in the Republican Party. And, you know, if Trump's gone, it's not going to be that bad. You know, we need to find a new leader. We need to find a new leader, a dynamic leader, someone who can lead us into the new age, like Nikki Haley.
Yeah, dude, I hate to say this, but we're going to have to hand them a couple losses if that's who they're going to put up, man.
I would think that, let's just say this vote steal goes through and the Republicans do nothing. They put up Lee Chatfield or something, or Shirky or whatever as governor next time. He loses by 30 points. And then they put up, Nimrata Rondo Wachtha or whatever the hell Nikki Haley's real name is, and she loses by 20 points. That's probably the best thing that could happen to us, because if we go back to the, GOP of George W. Bush, then what does it even matter? Why are we even fighting? What's the point? There's no point in any of this.
We might as well become Democrats, man.
Yeah, and I think that the anger against the Georgia Republican Party, Brian Kemp and whoever that douchebag is, who's the Secretary of State, these Republicans, they're folding. They won't do anything they won't do an actual vote audit. They will not do any real investigations into the vote fraud that happened there, the incredible vote fraud that happened in Georgia. So now a lot of Republicans are saying, you know what, fuck it. I'm not going to give a dime to these, senators, these cowardly senators who won't stand and demand an investigation, demand a real audit.
What do you think?
They don't care. They don't care if they lose, because who gives a fuck at this point? The elections aren't real. They're all rigged, on account of the whole vote rigging that happened in all these inner cities. They stopped the vote. They paused the vote, just like they do it whenever that's like the telltale sign that they're going to rig the election. Whenever an election is rigged across the world, they always pause the vote.
Time out. What do you think of Matt Gaetz out of Florida? You like him?
Yeah, he's like, I would say him, DeSantis, Hawley, and Missouri, and Kristi Noem would be the people. Like, those are people who I could circle the wagons around in 2024 if they run for president. But if it's like Crenshaw or Nikki Haley or, Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, I've kind of come around on those guys a little
Yeah,
bit.
there are.
I don't trust them. I wouldn't be happy with them as presidential candidates either. But I would say there's like a small handful of people who could be presidential candidates.
What about the old crowd, Paul and Lee? How you feel about them?
Well, I think Paul.
Massey.
I don't think Paul has it in him to be the president. I think the only way he could run is like if once he becomes a little old man like his father was, and he runs like a candidate. They get like, let's say Rand
with no intention of winning.
But no. Let's say Rand Paul runs in 2036. He's like 74 or whatever, however old he'll be in 2036. There would be, going back 70 years, a record of him and his father being right on everything.
That's true.
And at that point in 2036, things are going to be so bad that we can't even fathom. We couldn't have fathomed things being this bad in 2016, 14 years ago or whatever. Things are going to be so bad in 2036 that there might be a chance that Rand Paul could run as just, I'm a humble, guy who ran.
I'm a humble old man like your grandpa, Pappy.
I'm your grandpa, and I just want to have freedom. That whole deal, he could reinvent himself that way. I don't think he should run till he's an old man again.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Last time, oh man, it was a disaster, and I think that would be the angle. You could have 70 years. They could go Ron Paul to Rand Paul. But you're powerful videos of these guys being right about everything.
But then you're gonna have him on record supporting Trump on a lot of stuff too. So
even better for us, even better for his chances.
Yeah. What do you think of that Congresswoman that won out in Colorado? Or I forget her name. She
Boebert or whatever.
Yeah, they own the restaurant where she let her waitresses carry guns, and she's the one that questioned the doofus from Texas that almost won.
Yeah, she's kind of cute, right? She's kind of little foxy, ain't she? Little
decent looking. Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, she's the one that was at the rally, and when O'Rourke was talking, Beto was talking about taking our AR-15. She's the one that said, "No, you're not. No, the hell you're not," or something.
Well, hey, I mean, there probably going to be some good reps or whatever coming through the pike, but I know a lot of them are like Nicole Melianakis or whatever the hell her name is in New York, where she got the nomination just because basically she was a woman and because she'd been around for a while and because she, had supported the establishment, and Elise Stefanik, who was literally like Mitt Romney's babe, who had started like Elise Stefanik, puckered up and, tattooed her lips onto Trump's ass for a few months. Yeah, that's what she did.
Yeah,
she's the Trump woman and blah, blah, blah. She's establishment as it gets. And I think a lot of these people, these like up and comers in the Republican Party, they're going to be, it's going to be, I think they will literally fall to pieces in months when the base realizes that they're total frauds. I mean, I hope that they're smart enough to at least.
You really think the base knows most of these people?
Well, once they know them, because they're calling themselves, how this is Squad and the Democrats, these, Republican chicks are calling themselves the Force.
Right. Yeah, but okay, what's her face on Melianakis that you mentioned out in New York, and I can't even remember their names, but I know who they are, right? But what do you think is the name recognition of these people, even in their own party?
Well, I mean, it's new. I mean, they're new now. I mean, when a month after Omar and Tlaib were elected, no one knew who they were. So but you got to remember, all these women, they're women, and women are our future, and a lot of them they're diverse. They're Hispanic or whatever. So they're diverse and they're women. So they're our leaders. They're the future. So
if you look at all
GOP establishment,
if you look at all the House seats we won, they were all either minorities, women, or veterans. I think all of them.
So. Yeah, it shows that there's not much hope for people who aren't part of
me and you. We're gonna be the last of the Mohicans of the old white men.
Well, all I know is there's one representative in the state of Georgia by the name of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is just like, she's basically like if you put the best parts of Sarah Palin and the best parts of Ron Paul into a blender and blended them all up. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. So we do have one horse in the race who can emerge as a hero for our cause. So
that's a woman.
But she is a woman. She's like, like when Roy Moore ran, they destroyed him.
Yeah.
He would have been the greatest senator in history, but they destroyed him, made a bunch of lies about him.
Yeah.
Never
till this day have they verified anything that they said.
It didn't matter. Didn't matter. It was all lies. They got away with it with him. They tried to do it with Kavanaugh, and there's never any repercussions. But at the same time, they tried to bash Marjorie Taylor Greene. They said, "Oh, she's a QAnon person. Oh, she believes in conspiracy theories. Oh, she thinks that she thinks this, she thinks that."
Yeah. She's the blonde. She's the blonde one, right?
Yeah. And but you know what she did? She doubled down. She did like an ad where she had like her whole thing is she does ads with like giant guns in her hand. Like,
yeah, she's got like AR-15s.
Hey, Antifa, come get some. So
it reminds me of, it's like when Rand Paul did the Detroit Republican with the chainsaw. Remember that?
Yeah, it was that. I mean, this was more badass though because
because she's a woman.
She literally did an ad where she was like, "Hey, Antifa, I see you in big cities. Where are you gonna come? You gonna come to North Georgia? Come get some." And I mean, people loved it. And now she's the rep.
Oh, dude, I'm all for it. And the same with the one out in Colorado, man. Whoever we got to get in there to push our views forward, I don't care. But I think it's, I love the meme out there. Did you see with AOC, Imam, or what's the squad one's name?
It's
got AOC. But it says a radical in the streets, a colonist in the sheets, and it's got them with all their white husbands, right? And then she was on an interview the other day, the one that wears the turban, Imam or whatever her name is,
Omar,
right? And she said we gotta stop. Our main purpose needs to be putting forward legislation that stops radicalizing white males.
I mean, it would be comical if this weren't the case. I mean, imagine if you were told after 9/11 that this would be a rep who carried national significance. It's beyond absurd, but this is what they're going to do. I mean, it's going to get way worse.
Let me try to move.
They want to lord over us.
Let me try to move to Somalia and become a congressman.
One of the best things Trump said on the campaign trail was like, "Oh, hey, Omar, you're bashing us for everything we're doing. Why don't you go back to your country and try to fix things there?" That was like one of the few times where I'm like, yes, telling it like it is. Telling it like it is against this diversity cult. When he said that.
Hypothetically, let's say I go over to Somalia and I take my whole life savings, I'd probably be like a millionaire in their money, right?
Oh yeah.
And let's say I go try to run for Congress in their country, right? As a white man.
I don't think they have a Congress. I don't even know they have a functional system of government, quite frankly.
Well, and then not only that, then after that after I get elected, I'm like, we need to work on the radicalization of Muslims here in Somalia. What do you think would happen to me?
I mean, quite frankly, though, you'd probably get butchered. You'd probably get butchered by
chopped up
Islamics, But I couldn't blame them for butchering you because you're a foreign invader trying to inflict your culture onto them. Why would you expect any self-respecting people to react to such a situation. But America is no longer a self-respecting people. We're a people who, at least half of us, have been conditioned to surrender to anything, to bend over to any corruption. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We have a population of people who are captive, who will not stand up against any sort of evil.
Most of them are Christians.
And a lot of them are Christians. And, I mean, you'll see Christians these days where, it'll be like a homosexual tranny at the head of the pulpit, and they'll bring up little tranny kids and, baptize them into, being homosexuals or trannies or whatever. There's an HBO documentary called Transhood where, like, they literally had that display where the tranny satanic priest brings up the little kid who, is trying to, like, remember their lines, can't even remember their lines. So the mother, the incredibly obese, abusive mother of the trans kid comes in and says, "Oh yeah, my little boy wants to be a girl." And then they all clap and they recite some cult bullshit, and they give the little kid a flower to say, "Okay, it's time for you to become the opposite gender of your birth." So
it's ridiculous.
The veil.
And I listen, I'm all for it. If a transgender wants to come to our church that I'm going to, I'm fine with them coming and attending church and listening and learning, right? But as soon as they start talking about they want to be in positions of leadership, now I have a problem, because you're going against our beliefs. Even when the women in our church started talking about they want to make them priests, right, or bishops, right? I was like, whoa. The kitchen is down the hall, lady. All right. like, let's not get too extreme here. You need to check yourself, right? I'm not having it. Dude, I won't go to a church where the priest is a woman. I won't go. That's just my personal preference. And if I'm a bigot because of it, I guess I'm a bigot, right? And and that's what I'm going to have to live with, right?
Well, that's what's going to come next. I don't know if it'll come under the Biden administration term 1, but they will start making any sort of Christianity that abides by the Bible as it was written into hate speech. That's very closely off. I mean, we've seen one of the things that I've reported on with Big League Politics is that in Canada there was a Christian pastor, a black dude, who was literally just standing on the side of the road, just preaching the Bible. Was not hateful or anything in the least. So an LGBT mob of subhumans comes up and starts harassing him and terrorizing him. So the cops show up and they put him in handcuffs and drag him off. So that's what's going to happen here before long if Christians don't figure out what's going on. And
well, that's what they're going to have to do with me, because if they shut down my channel, you see, I got a website, right? If they refuse to host me, like, a lot of them, WordPress and stuff kicked off. WordPress kicked off one site the other day. I seen a conservative site, right? I'll go buy servers. You're not gonna stop me, bro. I'll have my servers right in the corner, and I'll host myself. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to come and arrest me, because I'm not stopping, dude. Once I decided. Okay, there was a time where I was like, I'm going to be a businessman. I'm going to try to be low key, right? But now my face is out here. You know what I'm saying? There's no going back. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and that's why Dana Nessel is doing intimidation tactics against whistleblowers, saying that if you're a whistleblower and you come forward and talk about vote fraud, that you'll be prosecuted if my state goons determine that you have said a falsehood in your testimony or something like that. I mean, they're desperate to scare people into not telling the truth, and it's not working. I mean, the more they try to fight back against it, the more obvious it is that they're perpetrating a conspiracy to snuff out free discussion and the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights. So,
well, I don't get why there's this disconnect between us and the working people on what's going on with these lockdowns. Out in where I live in mid Michigan right now, there's a group of restaurants that are banding together, and they're vowing to stay open, right? Now they're hitting them with $1,000 fines a day. They hit with the liquor license. They pulled the liquor license, right?
Of course.
Right. And then almost, let's be honest, almost everyone that works in the service and restaurant field are Democrats. I've worked in it. Dude, almost all my coworkers were Democrats. Like, I'm talking like 10%. 90% to 10% of the.
They're not very smart.
That's right.
That's what it comes down to. These people are fucking idiots.
And I'm going to tell you a little secret of how they're getting fucked, okay? With this unemployment, right? I'm not saying people are bad people, but in the restaurant industry, not everyone claims all their tips. I know this is a shocker.
Good.
Right? But what happens when you don't claim all your income? Then you're on unemployment. You know what happens? You get less.
Yep.
Right? So these people are getting, while it shows on paper that when they're unemployed, they're getting 400. They used to really make like 900, and they weren't claiming all their income. You get what I'm saying? And I hate to talk like this because I know.
You're ratting these fucking people out now. You're gonna do an investigation and ruin everyone's good time now because of you. You're a Disavowed podcast. I hope you're happy.
Oh yes, like this wasn't an open secret that everyone fucking in the whole world didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how it went with they made the law where you had to write down your name and the phone number and stuff.
Contact tracing, yeah,
right. Dude,
people, makes sense, I mean, we gotta know where everyone is because of the virus,
Right. So this one restaurant I went into, right, and they had the paper at the door. It was like voluntary. They didn't like force you to do it. Like if you wanted to write it, you could write it. If not, they didn't give a shit, right? But I look at the paper and it's like the names are like, go fuck yourself, stick it up your ass,
dickhead. yeah, great stuff. But the thing is, here's what they do: they'll put out the stupid ass form, and everyone will sign it, dickhead, wipe or whatever. But they'll be like, well, because not enough of you are complying, so that means that's because the COVID rates are skyrocketing because of
because of us evil people.
So now we're going to have a digital certificate that puts your name down anywhere you're at. And then, you're going to submit your fingerprint to show where you're at. You see how it's going to progress very quickly.
And it's so fucking just coincidental that right now the cases are fucking skyrocketing and the vaccination's about to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and then you need at least 5 or 6 shots for the vaccine to even work.
No, dude, I think they're gonna do this one like the flu, man. It's gonna be every year. It mutated. It's gonna be just like the flu. You gotta get one next year. If you look at the case numbers, like what's so ironic, like I looked the other day at the ages, right? Like 80% of all the cases are people 62 and older, right? Of all the deaths, 80% of all the deaths are people of 62 and older, right? And then, but all the cases, there's more cases with younger people, but the deaths are virtually nothing. Like our age group, you're probably 35 to 45 age group. There's been 4,000 deaths since last March.
Yeah, man. I'm even younger than that, but that it's just absurd, man. It's like you would obviously, based on all this information, you'd want to help the older people and maybe segregate them from society. But what did they do? They put the COVID patients in the nursing homes right next to the elderly people. So it's obvious that this is a genocide. It's obvious they wanted a lot of deaths so that they could, bring on the mail-in voting, and so that they could rig this against Trump. It's all a big conspiracy. It's the biggest fucking crime in history.
It is. It is.
And the people who go along with it are fucking human shit. So
I agree.
So that's why I'm doing this whole whistleblowers project. I'm not holding anything back anymore. We're gonna fight this to the bitter end.
I agree.
This to our last breath. And there's nothing. There's no other option at this point.
We're gonna be the old fucking crazy. They're gonna label us the crazy uncles and crazy grandpas. Like that was all fucking bullshit. They're gonna be teaching these fucking this is all a rig too. They're gonna end in-person school. They're gonna get rid of fucking in-person school. They were trying it before. When you remember that K through 12 program, that shit was flopping. No one was going to it. And so now they're just going to force that shit on you. They don't want you to even go to school,
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, but no, it goes back to before all this COVID stuff. I was researching Common Core and how it and digital learning platforms and personalized learning platforms, and it was all designed to make it so that there was no paper trail of anything that the kids are taught by the teachers. It's all digital. That they're all put in front of these screens at the youngest of ages. And even though all the research shows that putting kids in front of screens lowers their IQ and makes it so that they cannot think, well, we're going to put it all in front of them anyway. And all of these, massive corporations were just offering all of these learning, these digital learning programs for these kids. Oh, just out of the, Bill Gates was doing it out of the kindness of his heart. No, they're collecting all the data on these kids, and they're teaching them, no more. You're not going to read To Kill a Mockingbird anymore. You're not going to read The Catcher in the Rye anymore. No, you're going to read technical manuals about how climate change is real. And if you don't read them fast enough, and if you don't regurgitate the gobbledygook fast enough, we're going to drug you. We're going to pump you full of drugs. When
people need to realize something. When you're using a product and it's free, right? You're not the consumer. You're the product, man.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? These fucking people don't get it. They think everything. Dude, even what we're on right now, this fucking StreamYard. Who knows what in the fucking fine print they fucking write? Because it's free, right? Right?
Who knows what Illuminati villain is behind Streamlabs?
Yeah. They could be selling. They could be watching us right now and selling our info and have fucking keywords.
Oh shit! They could be tracking my eyelids. They already could have my retina scan already. Yeah. Oh no!
So getting back to the COVID, right? I was like, okay, there's this new disease that's killing everybody, right? I was like, I'm gonna just go look up the mortality rates for the past couple of years, right? The overall just mortality rates, right?
Yes.
Last year, we had 2.8 million people die in America. Now, I'm paraphrasing. I don't got the chart in front of me or whatever. But for the past 6 years, we've had our mortality rate go up 1.25% on average the past 6 years. The boomers are getting older. People are dying more, right? So the past 6 years, we've had an average of 1.25% jump in the amount of people dying, right? So we had 2.8 million last year. I'm like, oh, let me go compare this to this year with the deaths with the COVID. We should be higher, right? Okay, so I looked it up until this point, right? How many deaths do you think we have so far in 2020?
Way less than we did last year. Way less than we did last year.
Well, the chart was to November 2nd or something. We're at 2.5 with basically a month and a half. So it's relatively almost exactly as last year.
Well, that's only because they shut everything down and let us go anywhere, and that saved so many lives. And that's just a testament to how our masters, how our globalist technocratic masters like Bill Gates really want to protect us, because The shutdown saved all those lives.
Yeah. Dude, that shit, dude, right on the box, the mask tells you that shit don't even do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, all the real studies show the masks are just, this is all theater. It's all just to show, okay, if you wear the mask, you're a coward, you're a slave, you're a piece of, you'll go along with anything.
Yeah,
that's like a submission ritual where you put on the fucking mask, and everyone know, and the elites know, okay, this person doesn't have a soul. They will go along with anything that their masters tell them.
These fucking dolts. They're dolts. They don't even have N95 masks on anymore because they can't find them. They're fucking wearing a fucking piece of cloth over their fucking face, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they use this shit for an excuse for everything. I actually ordered a couch about a month ago, right? And right, dude, and it was on back order, right? Right, and I call them up. It's been about a month and a half now, right? And it was supposed to be here in a month. They told me. I call them up. They even use the COVID as an excuse. You know what this guy told me? I think they're using material to make masks rather than couches. Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't get my fucking couch because you're fucking making masks that don't even fucking work.
Wow, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just, it's so far beyond the pale. I don't even know what to say about this point. If you're, again, it's one thing. Like, I've wore masks into fucking, because like, I don't want to like go into Kroger and not wear a mask, and, like get into a confrontation and then lose my shit and be one of those assholes that you see on the news. So sometimes I will wear the mask into places. Just because I need to go along and get along, but if you're like a hardcore, I understand people who they have to abide by these rules, or they're going to get thrown out of business, or they're going to have personal problems or something. So I don't want to bash everyone who wears a mask, but if you're someone who wears a mask, if you're like a religionist regarding the mask, and you think that everyone should wear a mask at all times and must be compelled to wear,
you're a fucking rube.
Well, yeah, well, worse than that, you're a soulless zombie, and you're one of the worst people to ever walk the planet. Dude, you are human. You are human trash.
Like the day before the election, I went into Walmart with a MAGA Make American Great sweater and no mask. Man, you should have seen the stares I was getting, bro. Dude, they wanted to kill me, some of these people.
Of course. But like, one of the things is like, the people in America have been so broken. They've been so atomized. They've been everything that rooted them into this culture has been ripped away from them. Their race, their religion, their nationality. It's all been taken from them. So what do they have to unite around? Mindless conformity. This mindless conformity around wearing the mask and submitting to COVID tyranny has sort of filled the void of all these things that have typically satiated mankind in the past.
Well, that's why I said
that's what they see as being a great American, is bending over for any sort of order, as long as there's some asshole, some big pharma funded asshole in a lab coat telling them it's okay.
Well, the problem is they've took over all the institutions, so everything that makes conformity is they own it. The left owns it all now, man. Like they've subverted everything, man. They look at the Catholic Church. You don't think that was subverted by liberals inserting? Literally they put liberal freaking priests in there that molest little kids, and then they're like, then they point to us like, look at you horrible Catholics molesting little children. You know what I'm saying? While it's their subverts that are in there doing it. And, they've successfully won the culture wars. It's I put a post the other day. Is it more morally acceptable to be a Trump supporter or a porn star?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, nowadays, if you sell your body for money, that means you're a hero.
You're a working man or working.
You're the standard for feminism. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they liberated women, and you know, now what do? What do liberated women do in this day and age? Well, you know, I mean, you would think that they would, you know, dominate the fields of math and sciences or something like that. You know, you think that's what they do if they were equal and just being held down the entire time. But no, instead, what do? They sell pictures of their pussy on OnlyFans.
Yeah, right.
So that's what the empowered woman, the empowered Gen Z or millennial woman's doing.
Yeah.
They're selling pictures of their fucking twat on OnlyFans. So
Yeah.
you know they've really been liberated, haven't they? They've really been liberated of that evil patriarchy. They could have had 8 kids and had a loving family who took care of them until they died, and had a lovely
life.
life of fulfillment. But nope. That was the evil patriarchy. That was evil Christianity holding them down. So what are they doing now that they've been liberated from that? Selling pussy pics on OnlyFans.
That's true. It's true. It's true. I seen a guy the other day with a OnlyFans account. I was like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, because I looked at it for a second too, because I tried to diversify my social media, but then I was like, nah, this one's not for me, bro.
Yeah, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, I got suspended on MeWe. You know, like
How the hell do you get suspended on MeWe,
dude,
man?
they don't even fucking give a reason, bro. No fucking reason at all, right? You just go log into your account. And it's like 24 hours. You violated our terms of service. There's a link to the terms of service, but it don't say what you did, what post, nothing, right? And it was 2 days after the big push off. Remember a couple weeks ago where they started pushing off? Everyone was going to Parler and MeWe. Even my views on YouTube went through the roof for like about a week after everyone pushed off. You know, because everyone was coming. Dude, people are looking for new leaders. They're looking for that voice, like, you know, the voice of reason, right? And but then I'm like, 2 days after they all come over to fucking MeWe, right? I'm in chat rooms and shit. And these motherfuckers are starting to attack me, and I'm like, fuck you, man. I've been here for years. You because it shows your date you joined. All you motherfuckers just joined yesterday, and you're over here fucking chastising me. You fucking normie fucking, you know, twats, basically, right? Right? And then 2 days fucking later, I get fucking suspended because I made a video of Trump, and I labeled it "Proof Trump is a Racist," right? Right. And then I took a clip of all the times he's disavowing, because, you know, I like to use the disavow. It's the name of my show.
Of course, yeah, disavowed, right? Yes.
Right? So I went through and took all the clips of where he's like, I disavow David Duke. I disavow the Proud Boys, right? Right. And I put it together, but the name of the clip was Proof Donald Trump's a Racist, right?
Yeah.
So it's clickbait, right? It's a clickbait, right? These motherfuckers on MeWe don't fucking click the fucking thing and all start just attacking me. Like, you motherfuckers are as dumb as the liberals, you fucking dumb motherfuckers. You know?
Well, I mean, yeah, conservatives can often be their own worst enemy when it comes to this kind of stuff. You know, I use MeWe because it's a pretty good platform in terms of, you know, if you want to have a group and you want to organize on that platform.
Yeah, it's like Facebook.
Yeah. And whereas, you know, Parler is more like Twitter, but as soon as these platforms, you know, reach a certain threshold where they're, you know, actual, you know, movers for the culture, when they're have enough people on their platform where they are actual, you know, where
Forces.
they actually impact the culture, they will immediately become as bad as Twitter and Facebook.
Well, so, MeWe, the owner of MeWe, Mark something, Weinstein or something, he's a fucking liberal. If you go into the groups, they got the ones starred, right? And you go down to the political, and all the ones starred get to go to the top. Right, all the groups are usually listed by how many members are in the group. The higher number of members, right, you're at the top of the list, right? Right. But this motherfucker's got all the ones starred are like Bernie fucking groups and fucking socialist and anti-fascist groups. He
Of course.
stars at the top, right? So they get to go ahead of the higher populated ones, and they got like the Bernie ones got like 1,200 people, right? You know, and 900 people. All the liberal ones, because this guy's a liberal. He started up this social media site, and it's been fucking co-opted by fucking right wingers because we have nowhere to fucking go. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that just shows you how it's going to be. You know, it's going to be an extreme platform for censorship at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, to be honest with you, Gab is the fucking most lenient, right? But them motherfuckers are so beaten down. If you want to support them, you got to fucking send a check to a fucking PO box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
because they're the only ones that will stand for free speech. But you know, but because you know everyone on there, it's become like a ghetto for like all the alt-righters. Now it's, you know, toxic and
yeah, you can't have a decent conversation really on Gab. It's fucking it's like fucking retarded fucking memes left and right. You know what I'm saying? You know, but
no doubt.
But yeah, the ADL actually put out an article right after that big move talking about. I think they're going to target Parler first because Parler's got VDare and fucking AmRam over there and shit like that.
Yep, they sure do.
Where MeWe doesn't for some reason the real right extremists are not on MeWe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do mostly, you know, just like as you know, milquetoast conservative Republican activism on MeWe, and then Parler is where, you know, I try to, you know, if I'm a little more controversial, I'll make the controversial sentiment on Parler. You know, we'll see. I think that, you know, no matter whatever platform emerges, you know, even if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you should stay on the major platforms as long as possible.
Oh, you fight. Of course.
Yeah, you fight there. That's where the battle's at. And the more you fight, the more they censor you. And then people will see, oh my gosh, they're censoring these people. And, you know, then they'll come on board to your message. I don't agree with like people who are like, I'm leaving Facebook forever. And now I'm going to, you know, some digital ghetto. No, you stay on Facebook and then you try to bring people into the alternative platforms through, you know, Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
Dude, bottom line, the people are
that's how you
Facebook.
battle.
The people are on Facebook, whether you like it or not, man. Dude, when I first started my little page on Facebook, dude, I would get like 30,000 views in a week sometimes before they started coming at me, you know. And
I get hundreds of thousands on my Facebook pages before they instituted the draconian crackdown.
Yeah, but very little effort you had to do back then too. And now you gotta fucking try to promote it, and you still can't fucking get anywhere.
Yeah, it's a real shame, and you know, I think that they're, you know, little by little they're destroying their own, you know, platform. Like you look at Fox News, they're, you know, literally destroying their own platform just to succumb to the agenda. So I think more and more as we push things, as you know, the reality and the truth become more obvious, you're going to see these sort of, you know, corporate entities expose themselves because, you know, they have no other option but to, or they feel like they have no other option but to, and that's what's going to create the alternatives. Like if you look at, you know, Fox News, since they've cucked, you know, OAN and Newsmax have gained millions of followers overnight. Right. So that's what you're going to see once, you know, I feel like the dam might finally be breaking now that we see the ultimate Republican betrayal of the Trump movement. I feel like the dam might be breaking for alternatives to make serious headway.
Look at fucking YouTube. Alex Jones helped build YouTube, right? I used to go watch Alex Jones on his own webpage, and the little Win app. You remember used to have to open the little Win app?
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah. Dude, and Alex Jones helped build YouTube, whether they like it or not, right? And And then they fucking axe him, right? They're literally, but Alex Jones played it right? Now he's off YouTube, but dude, he's made appearances on fucking he was on Revenge of the Sith the other day. I don't know if you watched him, right?
Nice.
He was on the freaking dipshit with the fucking beanie all the time. Pool.
Tim Pool, yeah, that pussy.
And then afterwards, right? They pulled Alex's video with him. They pulled the show, right?
Because here's what he said. He's like, we need firing squads. We got firing squads. Firing squads are needed. And Tim Pool's like, wait a minute. Firing squads. Don't say that.
God.
Don't say that in my podcast.
And then after they fucking pull his video, he's like thanking YouTube. Like
he's like,
yes.
YouTube, I know he violated the will you please let the video back on if we edit it? What a pussy. I don't like that guy one bit.
Dude, he's doing his thing though. People love him. I don't get it.
He's doing a better job getting the truth out than most people. But I just hate that that groveling.
Well, dude, I think he's the biggest up and comer though. Like I don't even call him up and comer now. He's made it at this point.
And that Alex Jones podcast that he did was excellent. I mean, that was terrific.
Yeah, great
content.
160,000 when I was on there. 160. He usually gets like 40,000, 50,000.
I love when Alex Jones kept like needling him. He's like, "Wow, this is a big mansion you have here, Tim Pool. I didn't know you were this rich. Wearing that all the time. I didn't know you had a giant compound here. I know you had millions of dollars, Tim Pool."
Yeah, give me a fucking break.
He kept needling him constantly. I loved it so much.
Jones's fucking studio is fucking bigger than his house. Are you serious?
But have you looked at like who are the people leading these rallies? These Stop the Steal rallies? It's Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, Ali Akbar. These are the people who are leading the Stop the Steal rallies, and the GOP are got their thumbs up their asses.
Right,
but the good thing is the alternative media are now showing themselves as the real leaders moving forward. So,
well, dude, I think it's unfortunate though.
The bad guys.
I don't think that our talking heads should be the ones leading it. I think we should have a stronger grassroots. I think it's a lightning rod when you have them type of guys come out there.
Yeah, but who else is going to do it? I mean, we have so many cowards, particularly in the Republican Party leadership, that it needs to be these firebrands who come out.
Well, do you think it's cowards?
Like
you invited me to go to DC, right? And it was a little short notice. I might, but like, dude, I got a ton of children. You get what I'm saying? It's just harder for conservatives tend to have more children than liberals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have these Antifas who are dysgenic, and they're awful.
No kids.
They're shoveling SSRIs down their throat every day. They're severely mentally ill. They're maladjusted, and so they make the perfect foot soldiers for the left and their communist overthrow of America.
Antifa women that have children are the type of woman that says that their children are their world and their grandmother has freaking rights of their children. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
My children are my world. Well, you're out drinking right now. Where are your kids? Oh, they're with grandma. Then I run into women like that all the time.
Of course.
They tell you that their children are the world, but they're at the local fucking watering hole every night.
Well, you got to remember, single mothers are our country's greatest strength. They're never responsible for the situation that has befallen them. It's always
the evil man
or some man. So they're our greatest treasure, and they must be given more incentives to pop out kids without having a stable father there, because that's our greatest strength.
It's some horrible man that broke their heart, and now now they're searching for love at the local frickin' pub.
Well, I mean, no, it was the man. I mean, that abusive man. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it's no problem that she, turned down 50, good guys to go find that bad boy that she was interested in. That had nothing to do with her own decisions. It was all society and the patriarchy that did that to her.
Yeah. It wasn't that she didn't want to wake up and go to church. oh man, dude, we're in a mess, bro. We're in a fucking
not
mess.
Good. It's not good. That's for sure. Not
dude,
good.
I'm to the point, like, I tell my wife, I'm like, dude, I don't even give a fuck if they lock down the whole country and force us to stay inside. I don't want to fucking see half these people anyway. Like, fuck me. I go to the store and I just see them and I'm like, look at these motherfuckers, man. Like, dude, think about it. You got to worry if you wear a MAGA hood or a MAGA Trump shirt, dude, you really got to worry about fucking getting punched in the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, stories of, people who were in MAGA stuff, had like lighter fluid doused on them, and had to like run away from a mob or stuff like that. So, I mean, it's nuts, but that's just where we're at right now. And President Trump, just by it really, people look at President Trump and his policies, and it's always a distortion, like kids in cages, or him being a Russian agent, or whatever they use to make gin up the real terror against him and his supporters. It's always either made up or highly fabricated.
Dude, the Russians that are fucking trying to bring down America right now are fucking fascist, man.
Yep.
There's not really any fucking communism in Russia no more. Other than us, China creates the most fucking millionaires after us. They might have passed us, I don't know. But how in communism can you create the most fucking millionaires on the planet? Right?
Well, a lot of what China does is state capitalism. So they have like a ruthless communist regime. And there's actually some really good documents from the John Birch Society, in particular Larry McDonald, explaining how this system was how the Rockefellers, after the trade window was open with China in the 1970s, how the Rockefellers and others of these elites, the Rothschilds and other elites, understood that that a society of communist state controls with sort of a hyper free market ideology combined with each other could consolidate ultimate power. And
I agree.
That's the position that we're in now, where you have the Chinese state that is the new standard for the world. That's what the globalists want in America and throughout the entire world. It's because they have created this big brother system of total state control. But, all the different corporate elites can come in and rape the land and make as much money as they can. But the peasants are controlled, and they cannot resist under any circumstances because of the social credit score and the smart cities and the other innovations that are going to be used to snuff out freedom forever.
Okay, but I'm going to probably take a lot of shit for this, right? But the left is right about one thing. Okay, Putin and his regime tend to be supporting the ultra nationalists around the world, right?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that Putin, in my opinion, Putin, I wouldn't want to live under Putin under any circumstances. But if you look at what Putin did in the Middle East with Syria and with ISIS, he was fighting off ISIS. He was helping Assad because Assad was fighting ISIS, and we couldn't hear the truth in the U.S. media. But, they wanted to demolish Assad to put radical Islamists in power. That was the obvious truth of the matter. And who was behind all this plotting? Barack Hussein Obama. Well, why would a guy named Barack Hussein Obama want to put in Islamic terrorists in charge of Iraq, Libya, and Syria.
Well,
How could that be the case?
Also, look at
Putin's a hero for fighting against that.
You remember in Ukraine, with the Crimea incident, right?
Yeah.
Putin was backing a lot of the far right nationalists in that. And are you familiar with Alexander Dugin?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, he's a far right fascist, right? And he was put in charge of basically doing the propaganda in Crimea for Russia.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Are you trying to sell me on Vladimir Putin right now?
Dude, I don't dislike Putin. I think Putin's dude, if Putin was my leader and I was on his side, I would feel more confident than most of these leaders over here, bro.
Well, but here's the thing, like about Putin is that I remember back in the day, when I was a Ron Paul supporter in 2008, and literally it was like the Ron Paul coalition back then was like the most grassroots thing ever. Not in a good way. I mean, it was just like the most ragtag bunch.
Yeah.
Weirdos supporting Ron
Dude,
Paul.
that's what Trump was at first too. When I first got on Trump.
Yeah, it was.
And
Anyway,
then all the normies flooded in.
Let me finish the point though. So Ron Paul had run in 2008, as like the InfoWars candidate, and he got like a weird amount of support. And then after that happened, I remember there was like this network that just randomly emerged out of nowhere, and it was like the Ron Paul porno network. Like, it was just Ron Paul all day long, InfoWars all day long. I'm like, what is this net? What does RT stand for? What is this network? Like, why is it just all nonstop pro Ron Paul, pro Alex
Kokesh? Kokesh was
Kokesh, yes. Like all this stuff. Why is this network? Like, what is this network? I have to look it up. And I saw RT, Russian Today. It's Russian state propaganda? That was like one of the first times where like my brain, like, it was like I almost had an aneurysm, like, so Putin, I think what I think happened was I think Putin like heard Ron Paul and was like, he heard Ron Paul talking about how the dollar was fake and how the U.S. government was a big scam and how everything they did was a fraud. I think he like was like, I think he looked into it and like figured out like, yeah. I think Ron Paul like sort of pointed out exactly all the ways that America was falling. And I think Putin sort of capitalized on that. And then it just led into a big, insane, years of just nonsense. Well, and then Putin, and then I think this is another big thing. Putin gave asylum to Edward Snowden, and Edward Snowden, the NSA leaker, was literally radicalized by Ron Paul. He was just a normal goon until he heard Ron Paul's message, which radicalized him and said, fuck these guys, I'm going to fucking expose them. So it goes back to that, the genesis of that.
Let's be honest. In the 1980s, the left loved Russia, right?
Yeah, when they were fully communist, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that they're not communists, they don't like them.
It's not communist. I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with political ideology. It's the fact that they're mainly white. That's why they don't like them.
That also has a lot to do with it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now they flipped. The left now sees Russia as some type of mortal enemies of ours. For what reason? I don't know why. There's many more bad actors out here than Russia. Right? You get what I'm saying?
Of course.
Now Russia. We have an ideology difference with Russia, where we're anti-assassination, but we'll go to war and destroy your whole fucking country to get one.
Yeah,
guy,
I mean,
right?
how dare you? How dare Putin assassinate a political enemy of his by poisoning them? What a monster! How would he do such a thing? But hey, let's drop 50,000 bombs on Iraq.
Yeah,
that's democracy. That's democracy in action.
Well, dude, let's say Assad. Let's say Assad in Assyria got on Putin's wrong side, right? Right, dude. Someone would assassinate him like that, right? You would agree with that, right? If Putin was
in a foreign country, I don't know if in a foreign country, I think from what I've seen, Putin just mostly if like there's some Russian defector or whatever.
Yeah, right.
That's who he
they
goes
go
after,
after the Russian. When it's in house, they're more savage, right?
Yeah, they're savage. Well, outside of it, they're a little more. You know,
they don't even hide it. They'll have like plutonium 212 stuck up your ass.
Yeah, they'll have like whatever. They'll have like whatever poison is specifically
tied to them.
Yeah, tied to them. That poison, you know. So,
like, they don't even hide it. They're like, fuck you. You know? But like,
look, I'm not trying to defend Putin. You know, the poisoner of journalists. You know, I'm a journalist. I don't want to get poisoned. I mean, shit. But at the same time, you know, if you look at the world and, you know, what these leaders are doing, what they're inflicting on the world abroad, Putin fights against ISIS. Putin wants to stop Islamic terrorism in that region. Barack Hussein Obama funded that terrorism and wanted to put it in power in at least 3 countries. So you can see who the good guy is on the global scale and who the bad guy is on the global scale. The guy who fights ISIS, Vladimir Putin, is better than the guy who funds ISIS, Barack Hussein Obama. Pretty obviously.
I just think it's so comedic though how the roles have reversed. Like, you know, but still, even on the right, most of the right hate Putin too. You know, you got a huge chunk of the right that still hate Putin. Like, I think Trump should pardon Snowden and Assange, right?
Hell yeah.
Let these dogs.
The fact that he didn't do it months ago was a huge mistake.
Yeah, and also the guy on the Silk Road, I always push too, Ulbricht or whatever.
Yeah,
he started this. So, dude, that guy's got 3 life sentences for starting a website. You know, like, you know, no one talks about him. No one talks about him. He was like 26 years old. They freaking gave him 3 life sentences because he started up a fucking website and was involved in the dark web. And I remember years ago, everyone was like, man, this Bitcoin, it's untraceable. It's untraceable. Get into Bitcoin. I got into Bitcoin for a little bit and I did a little well, right? See, my problem is people's always like, getting in at the right time is not a problem with me, right? But like let's say I get in at $1 and it's up to like $10, right? I get out. Right? I get out. Like, I don't know how these guys get in at like $1 and they ride it all the way up to like fucking
that was my big problem with Bitcoin, because I got like an in on it when I was a hardcore libertarian. Like, went right in the ground floor. I remember it went like up to like $20, and all these libertarians were like jizzing themselves over it. And then I always hated the idea. I always hated the idea of a digital currency, because the whole point is, well, what if the fucking entire grid goes out? Then you're fucked. So fuck a digital currency. That's the dumbest idea ever.
You know what blackpilled me on it was when I started looking into mining. Did you look into?
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar.
Okay, like you could literally like do virtual mining. Most mining, you would have your servers in your house, right? You buy servers, and your server would run for so long and would produce so many Bitcoins, right? Right? And then they started doing virtual mining where you could like just buy a portion of a server on the internet, right? And then that would be your mining, right? Right? And then I'm like, dude, so this is literally like just electricity, right? That's what the mining is.
A big Ponzi scheme. Right? Electricity, right?
And then they would tell me stuff like, dude, it's untraceable. You don't got to pay your taxes on it. And
no, it's like the most traceable thing ever. There's a ledger showing every transaction ever.
Right?
Yeah, I hate Bitcoin. And like,
it's the same thing when everyone was trying to first get me to go over to Telegram too. They were telling me the same. It's encrypted. No one can see your messages. Like,
that's stupid.
And now you got fucking Chris Cantwell sitting in fucking jail, you know, from messages.
Yeah, like everyone, they know how to track your Telegram and Signal messages.
Yeah.
Ron.
Yeah, they know how to do everything.
Stupid. it's one thing to use Telegram because you can get like info from Gavin McInnes or Laura Loomer or Alex Jones on there. But if you think that like everything you write on there can't be traced, you're a fucking moron.
I know, you're an idiot.
The Bitcoin story I wanted to share was that because I was a losertarian back in the day, I got like the in on Bitcoin, and like I remember it was like $20 or whatever the first time, and all these libertarians were like, it's just second coming, blah blah blah. Then it dropped to like 45 cents, and I remember thinking like, maybe I should just pick up 100 of these at 45 cents, just because because it's so fucking rock bottom cheap. Why don't I just buy 100 of these? So I looked into it. It was so convoluted and complicated. I'm like, fuck it. This is nonsense anyway. So then, like, I watched it go up to like 10,000. I'm thinking, like, what could have I made? What could have I made with that? Like, if I bought $100 worth of
$4.50
at 45 cents for a Bitcoin, what could I make? But the thing is, like you said earlier, I would have sold it off at like $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would have been the worst thing ever for me because I would have been thinking, like, what if I kept it? What could have I made? So it was good that I didn't even buy it because I never believed in it. I never would have, stuck around to the bitter end. I would have cashed out and then felt like an even bigger sucker after doing that because I don't believe in this virtual digital currency.
Oh, hell no.
Not at all.
The government's going to eventually do it, and then it's going to fucking bankrupt all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Definitely.
Dude, here's my theory on if you need a virtual currency. If you're very, very, very wealthy, I would put enough virtual currency into. I wouldn't even use Bitcoin. I would probably use like Monero or
Monero. That's the one that's supposedly private, right?
Yeah. And I would put enough to like if I need to flee my country.
Yeah, that's just as much as you need to get out in a day.
And to live some. Well, no, I'm saying if you're rich, I might put enough in there to because like the United States, man, like people don't get it. Like people always come to me, they're like, if you don't like America, leave it, renounce your citizenship or whatever, blah, blah, blah. One, I don't want to renounce my citizenship. I'd like for you guys to get your head out your ass, right? But to renounce your citizenship is not like you just don't go on YouTube and say, hey, that's it. Like you literally got to pay. Like, it costs like $3,000 to renounce your citizenship.
Yeah, and they're like ramping up the fees and shit too.
Yeah. And then not only that, to renounce your citizenship, you also have to have another country. You can't be citizenless. You get what I'm saying? You gotta
pay off another country to have your fucking ass.
That's right. See, I'm Italian though. I don't know if you know this. With Italy, they got blood liable. You've ever heard of it? Yeah. But have you ever heard of their policy? Like the blood liable? No. Like if you can prove your father or mother was born in Italy, you get automatic citizenship.
Based.
Yeah. So you can always go back.
I like that. Yeah. Good stuff. You always gotta find an out.
Dude,
everyone.
I don't know if Italy's any better, bro.
Anyone who's halfway patriotic these days should be looking at finding an out of this disaster.
Well, dude, here's my advice. On the Bitcoin too. There was a story. The first ever fraud for the IRS was busted on Bitcoin the other day, right? And you know who they busted?
Some libertarian guy.
No, Google executive.
Well, hey, fuck that guy,
don't you find it ironic?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I know a lot of these. That's the thing about Bitcoin is a lot of these, tech people, dude, a
lot of them steal people's Bitcoins. Them tech guys.
Oh, I'm sure they do. All these stupid ass wallets and all these dumbass all these dumbass codes. Yeah. I just hate it. I hated the whole idea of it. It's like you have to have a code and a wallet, and then you have to go on some dumbass website. You have to do some fucking bullshit, jump through all these hoops. It's like, fuck that garbage. I would just rather buy nickels, old ass nickels, and have them in a fucking safe or some shit than do all this digital garbage that's going to disappear in a flash.
Dude, if the U.S. currency eventually goes away or it crashes, right? My advice is hold on to as much cash. Everyone is talking about dropping it. Hold it, man. They might even make it illegal for you to have actual paper money, right?
Yeah.
And metal money. But hold it, even if you got to hide it somewhere because it might be illegal. Dude, I'm telling you, it'll be huge collectors items.
Yeah, and I've also heard that, you know, there's a good chance that when all this this phony economy goes spiraling out of control, it could be a deflationary spiral.
It is going
to. All the people holding the cash are going to be king. I've had libertarians who are very smart explain this to me, how this could be the case. I don't quite understand. I mean, shit.
I think you're going to have I think you're going to have hyperinflation and then rapid deflation. You're going to have a fucking zigzag, right?
That's yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. That's above my pay grade. Yeah. All I know is that, you know, you should probably have beans, bullets, and ammo and guns and shit like that, perishables, rather than just, you know, oh, I got a bunch of phony baloney digital money in my account.
Let me ask you something. All these people are laid off in our state right now, right? For the second time, right? Now there's no money. There's no boost for the unemployment right now. You're getting fucking, max $400 and something or $362 is our max unemployment in the state, right? Right?
Yeah.
So you know how many people just got laid off that make more than $362? You know,
well, I mean, I'm sure they'll be turning tricks or committing activities or doing other things to get by. You know, that's just our economy. That's just our economy in a multicultural, diverse society.
But here's my point: what has housing done in the state since March?
Wait, gone up 700,000.
Yeah, it's continually went up. Okay, now I've worked in construction most of my life, right? Do you know what the cost of a 2x4 was before COVID?
Let's say $50
for a 2x4. One 2x4?
$40. I don't know.
No, $1.98 for a 2x4.
$1.98. Okay,
right.
What is it now?
It went up to $5.94. Now it's at $5. So that's
big 2x4 is making out like a bandit.
So that's 300% increase on your cost of wood. So to build a house, it's now triple the cost that it was in March.
Well, I mean, at least our deprived real estate speculators are making more money. I mean, they've been among the worst hit. Their 401ks have gone down from 8 figures to 7 figures, and now they're getting that back. So,
let me tell you
how bad. Triumph of our country.
Let me tell you how bad it is out right here. The builders are literally borrowing to build. They're literally they don't have it cash and paying up front. They're fucking borrowing it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've I don't want to be like there's going to be an economic collapse tomorrow. We're gonna have the dollar is gonna be worth your fucking toilet paper. I don't want to say things like that because look, for all I know, this nonsense could go on for another 30 years.
Oh, dude,
I could go on and on and on and on.
Oh, dude, I've been listening to.
But we're fucked.
I've been listening to Peter Schiff for 30 years talking about it. Stand.
I look at everything Peter Schiff says. I agree with it, and it seems like everything he says is on point. But they just
never crashes.
But they can keep this shit going for a long time. They're going to keep it going. It's going to get unfathomably bad, but they're going to keep it going, and everyone will go along with it because they're zombies. So
dude, you're invested.
You're rolling a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, dude, look at mortgage rates though. They're at 2.8%. Like, how low can they go, bro? Like, what we gonna get?
We need negative mortgage rates, man.
They'll pay you to buy a house.
We'll probably be there at some point. You know.
Oh my Lord.
It's pretty dumb, pretty stupid.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we've been going forever. Dude, we need to do this more though. Dude, I'm telling you, we need to do panels, man. We'll have fun. Get some more people.
Yeah. I'm gonna be start doing my new organization, Whistleblowers United. Check us out at bitshoot.com/Detroit Leaks. I'll give the URL to Johnny so he can give it to everyone who's listening. So we're going to be doing live streams. I'm going to be getting on StreamYard and doing all that stuff too, starting this week. So yeah, we'll be expanding, and we'll definitely be doing more panel discussions and stuff like that. And I'd love to be working with Disavowed, because this is one of the few places where you actually come on and say what you feel, and not feel like that the big brother has the gun to your head when you're speaking. So I love talking to people like Johnny, and talking to Proud Boys and other people who are considered third rail, because those are the only people who have the courage to tell the truth in this Orwellian day and age.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.